Keratoconus was first diagnosed in 1854, and I think it was just a gross cone-shaped cornea. Use a magnifying lens or something on that. As time has progressed, the ability to diagnose keratoconus in its earlier stages has gotten better with more sensitive topography, which is one of the main ways we look at it. One of the big ways was the introduction of Scheimpflug imaging, like the Pentacam or the Galilei, which actually looks at the front and the back of the cornea, because the most sensitive detection of keratoconus is when the back part of the cornea starts changing or bowing forward, or what's called a posterior elevation. You can look at some of these things also with how the corneal epithelial changes on OCT. There are certain OCTs that can actually use the posterior elevation or see that as well. We happen to have one, but it is not common. We have one that we're working with the company with, so it's not available yet, but you know, it will be, and that can be used to a certain extent, likely. There are also ways to look for keratoconus using analysis of the actual topographic system, or the topography is analyzed by a topographic guided ablation system, such as the wave-like contour system, and there are certain real diagnostic things or signs that you can see on that, just as there are diagnostic signs that you can see on the epithelial thickness maps. So most of it is done really in most offices by the Pentacam. But when we want to get deeper into exactly how bad it is, what it is, we have to use these other technologies, especially when we actually treat the patient with laser for reconstructive corneal laser, with topography guided ablation. We need to use all this data to do that treatment. Probably the most sensitive way is a very good topography Pentacam for the posterior elevation. What happens is the Pentacam will see the posterior elevation as it first starts. Then as it gets transmitted to the front, the topography will see it. Then as it gets transmitted to the front, the epithelium will start also compensating for it, which gives a diagnostic epithelial shape or a diagnostic epithelial thinning over that cone area. That same shape can be reflected for how it's becoming irregular on the contour systems. So the initial ones really are probably the Pentacam, a good topography, and right after that with corneal epithelial thinning.